June 16th, 2020. My name is Marcy Saxon. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Education. At this time, I would like everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. We're not getting any sound. Yep.
Okay, we have it now. Sorry about that.
May we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Yetsey.
Here.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Here.
Mrs. Saxon.
Here.
Mrs. Tamira. And Mr. Vaca.
We'll move on to finalization of the agenda.
The agenda is final as presented.
Thank you. Approval of minutes. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the written summary of the special and regular minutes for the meeting on May 5th, 2020, May 11th, 2020, and May 19th, 2020.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. McCarthy, seconded by Mrs. Yetsey. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mrs. Yetsey.
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Now we will move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We have a very generous superintendent's report tonight. We have our Endowment Funds Grant Committee President, Kevin Corcoran, also Mayor of North Ridgeville, present, who would like to share with the community of North Ridgeville what the Endowment Funds Committee were able to do this year for our staff here in North Ridgeville. And I have not seen yet, but I do believe also that Daryl and Karen Edwards may join us at some point, but I will turn it over to Mayor Corcoran.
All right. Turn on my mic.
You can hear him, right?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. All right. As you know, I am the president of the North Ridgeville City Schools Endowment Fund. The Endowment Fund is a group of individuals who get together to raise money on behalf of the school district in the way that we are going to either give grants to teachers or scholarships to students. And we have done that this year. In the general fund, we gave out, from our general fund, there's 3 funds with the endowment funds. The general fund gave out $7,846 in grants. The Fine Arts Fund gave out $5,397. And then the Shannon Edwards Fund gave out $4,682. The total is $17,925. Those grants went to a number of teachers and staff members that applied for them, went through a review process to see which grants were going to be funded. But this is all in an attempt to do some things that the schools are unable to provide for. We are kind of plussing the educational process, and we're happy to do so. And once again, pleased to give out almost $18,000 this year towards that effort. So thank you for letting us be a part of the school system and helping out. And thank you for helping us help North Ridgeville be a better place.
Thank you so much, Mayor Corcoran. Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Mr. or Mrs. Edwards on, I don't see them.
I have not seen them join. Mr. Hieronymus is keeping an eye out. But again, I also want to thank the Endowment Funds Committee. I know Ms. Saxon also played a role, not only in the Endowment Funds Committee, but also in the Grant Selection Committee, coordinating that team of people to go through lots and lots of applications. We had some excellent award winners this year. And again, we are so proud to have this partnership with this wonderful organization that truly supports the students and staff of North Ridgeville. So thank you again, Mayor Corcoran.
Thank you. We'll now move on to announcements. We have one announcement. On July 21st, 2020, at the regular board meeting, there will be a public hearing on the reemployment of Miss Patricia Ellis, the payroll supervisor for North Ridgeville City Schools. And at this time, we now have hearing of the public on agenda items. So if you would like to speak to something that is on this evening's agenda, now would be the time. You need to use the raise your hand feature, and we will have you unmuted so that you may speak on an agenda item.
Mr. Hieronymus is working on unmuting.
They are open, so anyone who would like to address the board is welcome to unmute and speak.
Mr. McMillan.
I'd just like to say on behalf of the North Ridgeville teachers, thank you to the Endowment Fund Committee for allowing such generosity to help teachers and students in the district. So on behalf of all those teachers, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Okay, we'll now move on to the consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda resolution as presented.
Moved. Second.
Sorry, I'm scrolling down my agenda. It was
PJ.
moved by Mrs. Yetsey, seconded by Mrs. McCarthy. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Yetsey,
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And then, sorry, I'm looking, we're on page 8, is that correct?
Yes. Correct.
Number 2?
And audit.
Yes, yes, finance, I apologize.
Okay.
I have new glasses, so I apologize. We're now on to the finance audit report. Mrs. McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Fellow board members, we have 4 items for consideration tonight under finance audit. It is recommended that we approve the financial report and report of interest and investments for May 2020 as presented. It is also recommended that the board approve the objectives and goals of the class of 2024, which is Fund 200-9224. Third, the approval of the temporary appropriations for fiscal year 2020 and the amended certificate of estimated resources. And finally, it is also recommended that the Board of Education approve the advances and transfers that were presented to us. I motion that we approve these items in one reading.
I will second.
Moved by Mrs. McCarthy, seconded by Mrs. Yetsey. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Yetsey,
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
For other board business, Mrs. Yetsey, would you like to read the education report, please?
Yes, we have 3 items for consideration under the education report. First, we have a contract with Insight Behavioral Consulting for consultative services for students with special needs for the summer of 2019-2020 and the school year. Next, we have a contract renewal with Support for Families, which goes into homes to support the families of students with intense needs. They help families create behavior plans for students, which helps in the preparation of getting vocational skills in jobs in order for job placement and graduated skill such as graduated adults. Finally, we have an agreement with CDWG, the IT department, put out a request for quotes to over 10 vendors for the purchase of 800 Lenovo 100E second generation Chromebooks with a Snap-on Shield case, which would provide additional protection to the devices. We received 6 quotes as bids to this request, with CDWG coming in with the lowest bid. These 800 Chromebooks would be rolled out at the start of the school year to grades 3 and 4. CDWG informed the district that Lenovo is making pricing adjustments starting July 1st. We are asking for this purchase to be approved in one reading to avoid the July 1st price increase. I move to approve these education report items in one reading.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Yetsey, seconded by Mrs. McCarthy. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Yetsey,
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Mrs. McCarthy, Buildings and Operations Report, please.
Thank you. The IT and the operations department, in addition to the treasurer, have solicited quotes from 4 vendors for copier contracts. All 4 vendors met the district's specifications for the amount of copiers, processing speed, and output. After reviewing all 4 options, the committee determined that ComDoc provided the most cost-effective proposal. It is the committee's recommendation that a 60-month lease at the cost of $3,021 per month be reviewed as the first reading and will be approved on the July 7th board meeting.
Thank you. For the Human Resources Report, we have a few items to consider. 10 extended school year certified staff appointments, 20 extended school year support staff appointments, 13 supplemental contract appointments, 18 non-NREA supplemental contract appointments, 2 unpaid volunteer recognitions, 1 renewal of the interim contract of the treasurer, 1 memorandum of understanding, 1 certified staff adjustment. Finally, we have a resolution to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Board of Education and the North Ridgeville Education Association. This MOU modifies the terms and conditions of the negotiated agreement regarding supplemental contracts to allow for the partial fulfillment of supplemental contracts should it be necessary due to the interruptions of school related to COVID-19. I motion to approve the human resources items in one reading.
Second.
Moved by myself, seconded by Mrs. McCarthy. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Saxon,
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Yetsey.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Now is the hearing of the public on new items. So if there is anyone from the public that would like to speak, please raise your hand. You can, Mr. Hieronymus will unmute you, so you may speak at this time.
Now enable the ability for members of the public to unmute themselves. So if we have anybody that would like to address the board, they may now.
Do this. Oh my God, what is going on here?
Mr. Rollins, we are hearing you. Can you hear us?
Fantastic. Sorry for the miscommunication there. I appreciate everybody taking the time to listen to me. Not only am I a 40-year resident and taxpayer in the city of North Ridgeville, but also the president of R&K Technologies on the corner of Center Ridge and Route 83 as well. I understand, just as of roughly 20 minutes ago, that the city has chosen to go with another vendor in lieu of also out of the city of North Ridgeville as well. After listening and watching the video from the last meeting, one of the biggest concerns that the city was having with the shortfall in the schools was the fact that there's not a lot of tax income coming in. We're trying to find ways to fill those shortcomings, and obviously, with this decision being made to send this 5-year partnership not only out of the city but also out of the county, and also out of the away from the taxpayers that are in the city, and also the additional taxes that those dollars would bring in. As Paul, as we've been working for over 2 years with not only the current administration but prior to as well. We've done an extreme amount of analysis. We've looked at every solution. We did hundreds of hours of asset mapping for the city, and I feel that based on the information we've been provided, I have to say that I'm very disappointed in the board's decision to take the money out of the city of North Ridgeville and away from the taxpayers. I feel like we probably should have the opportunity to discuss this further as to why the decision was made. We've had zero input since our initial proposal, and basically, like I said, have had no information since up until about 20 minutes ago. So I would ask the school board to reconsider, just to ensure that everything that R&K has done is apples to apples. I hate to use that term, but in this instance, I feel it's very important to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So, as you can tell, we're very adamant about our city being on multiple boards, and trying, from the Citizens for Better Schools, North Ridgeville Chamber. We are North Ridgeville. We're that business that's on the corner of Center Ridge and 83 that everybody drives by. It's been there since the beginning. When the streets, we're waiting for the streets to go like everybody else. We're the people that you see, at the gas station. We're the people that you see in Giant Eagle. So, I feel that in the interest of the well-being and the betterment of the city, its taxpayers, I feel that, we definitely should take a more in-depth look at this decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rollins. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? It is recommended that the Board of Education enter into executive session to discuss the employment of a public employee.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Yetsey, seconded by Mrs. McCarthy. We are entering into executive session at 6:19.
Roll call.
Oh, I apologize. Roll call for any discussion. Is there any discussion about adjourning to executive session? None. Then let's have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Yetsey,
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. We're now in executive session.